If you think of bricks as artificial rocks, cement might be considered artificial lava, a liquid stone that is poured into place where it hardens into solidity. Cement is a manufactured product made by blending different raw materials and firing them at a high temperature in order to achieve precise chemical proportions of lime, silica, alumina, and iron in the finished product known as cement clinker. Cement is therefore essentially a mixture of calcium silicates and smaller amounts of calcium aluminides that react with water and cause the cement to set. The requirement for calcium is met by using high calcium limestone or its equivalent calcareous raw material and clay, mudstone or shale as the source of the most silica and alumina. Finished cement is produced by finely grinding together around 95% of cement clinker with 5% gypsum or anhydride, which helps to retard the setting time of the cement. The quality of cement clinker is directly related to the chemistry of raw materials used. Around 80 to 90% of raw material for the clink feed is limestone. Clay raw material accounts for between 10 to 15%, although the precise amounts will vary. Magnesium carbonate, which may be present in limestone, is the main undesirable impurity. The level of magnesia MgO in the clinker should not exceed 5%, and many producers favor a maximum of 3%. This rules out dolomite or dolomitic limestones for cement manufacture. Other deleterious materials include excessive alkalis, Na2O, or soda and potassium oxide, K2O, which would be unacceptable because of durability problems with the concrete due to the reaction of alkalis with some siliceous aggregates to form a swelling gel. Portland cement. Portland cement is the most widely produced cement, both in India and worldwide. The term Portland cement was created by its inventor in 1824 because of the presumed resemblance of the set material to Portland stone, the well-known natural building stone. Other varieties include rapid hardening, low heat, sulfate resisting, and low alkali cements. In addition, blended cements are produced by finely grinding Portland cement clinker with other constituents such as blast furnace slag, natural pozzolanous, silica fume, metakaolin, siliceous fly ash, calcareous fly ash, limestone fines, and shale. In Europe, for example, these types of cement are standardized to BSCN 197-1. This covers 5 main types of cement used for concrete and indicates the relative proportions of Portland cement clinker. A second main constituent, the standard or 28-day strength class and the rate of early strength gain. The Indian standards for Portland pozzolana cement have been issued in two parts based on the type of pozzolanic materials to be used in manufacturing of Portland pozzolana cement as given below. IS 1489 Part 1 1991 Portland pozzolana cement specification fly ash paste. IS 1489 Part 2 1991 Portland pozzolana cement specification calcined clay paste. The quality of fly ash or calcined clay to be used in manufacturing of PPC is also specified by BIS in the following standards. IS 3812-1981 Specification for fly ash as pozzolana and admixture IS 1344 1981. Specification for calcined clay pozzolana. In view of the availability of good quantity, fly ash in abundant quantity, the use of calcined clay-based pozzolana cement is progressively decreasing. The fly ash is a waste product of thermal power plant which creates disposal problems at thermal power plant site. The early production of fly ash in India is about 70 million tons per annum. This would increase in future depending upon the new coal-based thermal power plants to be installed in the country. The present utilization of fly ash in production of blended cement in India is nil. Deposits. The availability of suitable raw materials is normally the determining factor in the location of cement works, and these are normally located in close proximity to limestone deposits and ideally close by other major raw materials like clay and gypsum. Limestones, clay, mudstone, and shale deposits are common lithologies and are widely distributed in most parts of the world. Nevertheless, such sedimentary rocks may vary considerably in their chemistry and thickness, and thus in their suitability for cement manufacture on a large scale. Generally, large quantities of a uniform source of calcium, silica, alumina, and iron are required. If uniform raw materials are not readily available, and they rarely are, it is essential that chemical variation within the deposit is known so that development can be planned and proper blending of stockpiles can consistently achieve the desired chemistry. The process of cement making is, however, remarkably flexible in terms of the raw materials that can be used to achieve required chemical compositions. Many limestone deposits, provided they are low in MgO, easily met the requirements, and a number of other CaO containing raw materials are also known to be used. Alternative materials include marble, chalk, marl, shell deposits, blast furnace slag, and alkali waste. The overburden to limestone deposits is also used frequently as a source of silica, alumina, and iron. Other mineral components such as iron oxide wastes, silica sand, etc. are sometimes used to blend into raw material mix to optimize the chemistry. The variety of raw material used worldwide for cement manufacture is very great. Extraction. The raw materials used in cement manufacture are extracted in large quarries, typically with outputs of up to or over 2.5 million tons per year. Typically about 1.65 tons of limestones, 1.5 to 1.8 tons, and 0.4 tons of clay are quarried for each ton of cement produced. Large reserves of feedstock, particularly of limestone, are required to provide security of supply, and these are normally quarried in close proximity to the cement works. Clay or mudstone may be worked in the same or an adjacent quarry or transported from one distant sites. The raw materials which supply cement works and which may be required in quantities of over 4,000 tons per day must be thoroughly proven if the plant is to run successfully. Consistent quality feed is required, and an extraction plan must be made to ensure that a uniform flow of raw material will always be available to the kilns. Cement making. Cement clinker is manufactured by heating the blended and ground raw material, typically limestone and clay or shale and other materials, to partial fusion. The clinker burns takes place at a temperature of 1450 degrees Celsius in kilns, which are normally inclined, rotating cylinders lined with heat-resistant bricks. Clinker emerges from the kiln after several hours of granulated spherical pebbles. Afterwards, the clinker is finely ground by ball milling with a small amount, typically 5%, of gypsum anhydride to give Portland cement. Gypsum anhydride is introduced to control the initial rate of reaction with water and to allow concrete to be placed and compacted before hardening commences. Blended cements are produced by intergrinding cement clinker with materials like fly ash, granulated blast furnace slag, limestone dust, natural example volcanic ash, or artificial example metakaolin, pozzolanes, in addition to gypsum anhydride. The finished cement is transported in bulk or in bags to the market. Cement clinker and finished cement are traded internationally. Cement manufacture is a very energy intensive process and results in the production of large amounts of carbon dioxide CO2. The carbon dioxide is chiefly produced when the calcareous raw material is calcined to produce calcium oxide. Generally, around 0.5 tons of carbon dioxide is released for each ton of cement produced. A figure that does not include carbon dioxide released during energy generation to power cement manufacturing plants. Worldwide, it is thought that cement making is responsible for around 7% of total man-made CO2 emissions. The processes of milling, blending, calcining, and grinding the clinker are described as dry, semi-dry, semi-wet, or wet, depending on how the raw material is handled before being fed into the clink. Moisture content of the raw materials ranging from 3% for hard limestone to over 20% for soft limestones such as chalk is the main criteria for governing the process used. In the dry process, the feed material is in a dry, powdered form. It is either preheated by the clink's hot exit gases prior to entering the clink, preheater clink, or if the fuel is added in a special combustion chamber. The calcination process can almost be completed before the raw material enters the clink, pre-calciner kiln. In the wet process, the feed material is made by wet grinding and the result slurry, which contains typically 30 to 40% water, is fed directly into the clink. In the semi-dry or semi-wet process, water is either added to the ground dry feed or removed from the slurry by filter pressing, resulting in a feed material containing about 50-20% moisture. Specifications and uses. Most national specifications for Portland cement require that the cement should not contain more than 5% MgO, less than 3% in the limestone raw material. Therefore, identification of dolomite is crucial in the evaluation of carbonate rocks for cement manufacture. Other chemical specifications may limit sulfur trioxide SO3 and phosphorus pentoxide P2O5 to less than 1% and total alkalis to less than 0.6%. Additional specifications may apply to specialty cement types such as sulfate resisting cement, oil well cement, and white cement. For example, less than 0.01% Fe2O3. Uses. Cement is an essential constituent of concrete, which is a mixture of cement and coarse and fine aggregate. When mixed with water, this material can be placed in situ or cast in molds, such as concrete blocks. It is a highly versatile building material valued for its high compressive strength, fire resistance, moldability, impermeability, and durability. Mortar, a mix of cement, fine aggregate, and water, is used for joining structural blocks, brickwork, and plastering. Both concrete and mortar are vital and essentially irreplaceable construction materials for the building and civil engineering industries. They are widely used in all construction sectors, including house building, road construction, bridges, and dams, and in other infrastructure projects such as railways, airport facilities, hospitals, schools, new offices, and shops. Demand for cement is a function of economic activity and construction activity, both of which can be highly cyclical. Alternative raw materials. The principal objective of using alternative raw materials is to optimize the mix to make best use of available raw materials. A range of calcareous raw materials can be used for cement manufacture, but limestone, chalk, or marble predominant. In most cases, other calcium-bearing sources do not occur in sufficiently large deposits or amounts to be used as alternatives. Clay mudstone is the main source of silica, alumina, and iron oxides because of its availability and low cost. However, mudstone often does not supply the correct chemical balance of constituents, and bought in supplements are sometimes required. These may include silica sand, fly ash, pulverized fuel ash PFA, iron oxides, and bauxite. PFA has a higher alumina to silica ratio than most mudstones and also lower alkalis. It is used in most cement plants to add alumina so that higher silica limestone can also be utilized. It also helps to reduce alkalis. Ash from the coal burn also contributes to the overall chemistry of the cement feed. However, alternative fuels are increasingly substituting for coal. The production of blended cements is increasing. These may contain, for instance, singly or in combination, a proportion of PFA, a byproduct of coal-fired power stations, blast furnace slag, a byproduct of iron making, tuff, a type of volcanic rock, and limestone dust. These act mainly as lower cost diluents, their main purpose being to reduce the amount of cement clinker used per unit of concrete produced. However, their use may also impart additional properties to the product. Both PFA and slag, for example, have cementitious properties. Cement industry in India. Let us now see a map showing major cement industry of India. The cement industry in India is continuously growing. According to various research reports and in view of the upcoming massive infrastructure developments, the Indian cement consumption is expected to increase at a rate of 9 to 11% per year. The rising costs of raw materials like gypsum and coal have been playing a heavy strain on the cement and construction industry. As a result, Indian cement and plaster board companies have to explore alternative sources of gypsum and coal. The Indian cement industry is comprised of 140 large and more than 365 smaller cement plants. It is the second largest cement producer in the world with an installed capacity of about 323 million TA in 2011, surpassing the target of 298 million TA fixed for the 5-year period up to March 31, 2012. Economic growth and cement consumption are directly proportional. The factors that could trigger cement sales are infrastructural demand, especially for government projects, as well as higher housing demand in rural and semi-urban areas. Higher realization and rising dispatches are considered to be conducive for higher profits for the cement industry. All efforts are targeted to increase sales and reach the premium segment in prices. The major challenges faced by the Indian cement industry are higher raw material prices, especially the price of coal, gypsum, and fly ash. India's cement manufacturing capacity may increase to 479 million TA by the terminal year of the Plan 12, ending 2017, despite the existing overcapacity scenario as per projections made by a Planning Commission working group on the sector. The working group, which has already submitted its final report to the Commission for preparing the roadmap for the sector in the plan period 2012-17, has projected an 10 to 11.75% growth in demand, production, and the installed capacity of cement during the 5-year period. According to the Cement Manufacturers Association (CMA) and AT Kearney, India's cement production will expand to 550 million tons by 2020, and its annual per capita use of cement will rise to 350 kg from 150 kg. McKinsey and Company is targeting to achieve 860 million tons cement capacity by 2030. According to the various research reports and in view of the upcoming massive infrastructure projects, cement consumption is expected to advance at around 10% CAGR growth during 2012-2014 and thereafter around 9 to 12% per year, which is anticipated to strengthen the long-term investment viability of the Indian cement industry. The rising cost of energy, transportation, and persistent raw material pressures like gypsum and coal have been placing a heavy strain on the cement and construction industry. As a result, Indian companies have to explore alternative sources of energy and raw materials. Gypsum availability in India. Up to 2007-8, the Indian cement industry met their gypsum requirement predominantly from natural gypsum sources in Rajasthan and the byproduct gypsum from industrial sources. India produced around 2.5% of the world's 146 million tons of natural gypsum in 2010. India is depleting the mineable gypsum, but has total recoverable cement and plaster grade gypsum reserves for 54 million tons of gypsum as per 2005. The majority of this is located in Rajasthan, over 97% of the total reserves. India produced around 16 million tons of gypsum during 2006-10, an average of around 3 to 3.5 million TA. In Rajasthan, gypsum mining is controlled by FCI Aravali Gypsum and Minerals India Limited and Rajasthan State Mines and Minerals Limited. Rajasthan accounts for about 99% of the total production of gypsum in the country. But as it is in northwest India, transportation costs are prohibitive for many cement producers located elsewhere in the country. The local gypsum production availability is limited to 6 to 7 million tons per year. Byproduct gypsum and natural gypsum. And the balanced demand will have to depend on imported gypsum. As per the Indian Bureau of Mines (IBM), around 5 million tons of waste gypsum such as phosphogypsum, fluorogypsum, etc. are being generated annually. And for the last 3 years, the cement sectors are only using around 2.25 to 3 million tons. Basically, these quantities are almost constant and cannot be increased substantially due to higher transportation costs. Phosphogypsum is a byproduct in the wet process for manufacturing phosphoric acid, ammonium phosphate fertilizer by the action of sulfur acid on the rock phosphate. The other sources of phosphogypsum are byproducts of the hydrofluoric acid and boric acid industries. Indian cement companies are on the lookout for overseas mines to secure supplies for gypsum, a key ingredient for manufacturing the building material. Domestic supply of gypsum is limited, which is forcing Indian cement makers to look for acquisitions of overseas mines, or even look at producing a synthetic form of the raw material. 1 ton of gypsum in a reserve typically costs around $26 to $30, rupees 1,560 to 1,800, and the average size of a mine overseas ranges between 30 and 40 million tons. This takes the minimum total cost to roughly $780 million. Indian companies are eyeing reserves located in Thailand, Oman, Iran, and other countries in close proximity to India. According to a research report jointly published on 30th April 2014 by Lobby Group, Confederation of Indian Industry and Consulting Firm, A.T. Kearney, India has a paucity of gypsum resources, which does not bode well for the cement industry. The production deficit in the domestic market has led to increased dependence on imports and synthetic gypsum to meet production demand, the report said. Manufacturing 1 ton of cement generally requires 4 to 5% of gypsum as a raw material, it added. The report said that at present, usable gypsum reserves in India amount to 140 to 150 meter, of which around 125 meter is available to the industry. These numbers are for Rajasthan and Gujarat, as reserves in other states are unusable. This available supply will be enough to support the cement industry for the next 7-8 years, beyond which the sector will need to rely on imports, the report added. Impact of cement industry. Human environment. Increased direct and induced employment opportunities, income and wealth. Increased wealth. Human environment. Increased goods and services. Improved access, particularly to previously inaccessible area. Conflicts with existing land uses and displacement of existing uses. Subsidence risk to local farmers and rural livelihoods and cultures, damage to cultural sites, increased demands on services and facilities, social and cultural conflicts, community instability, boom-bust economic, social and cultural conflicts and displacement of local populations, road damage, traffic delays, health and accident risk, secondary developments, natural environment, impacts on landform. Removal and transfer of large amounts of rocks and soil and its deposition as soil elsewhere. Total disruption and modification of landscapes. Changes possibly irrevocable to underground and surface drainage. Loss of existing land uses. Loss or burial of vegetation and farmland under mine spoil. Damage to wetlands and coastal areas. Use of stream banks and shorelines for waste disposal and ancillary facilities, disruption, blockage, and rerouting of stream channels and creation of residual ponds. Land impacts on terrestrial ecology. Reduced reproduction and population of wildlife due to habitat modification and loss, example breeding grounds, nurseries, and indirect disturbances from noise and fumes. Increased wildlife mortality from road traffic and service disturbance, degradation of vegetation and soil from flooding of contaminated watercourses, modification of vegetation and introduction of non-native species, loss of birds and animals due to contamination from tailing and leach ponds, denuding of vegetation due to toxicity, water impacts on aquatic ecology. Stream siltation and other forms of degradation of surface waters by soil erosion from disturbed areas, waste piles and stockpiles. Downstream water quality impairment and damage to aquatic flora and fauna. Contamination of surface waters and groundwaters. Disruption, blockage of surface waters, intensifying local flooding problems and affecting aquatic ecology, including fisheries. Deepening of stream channels. Reductions in local water supplies. Soil impacts on soil. Contamination of surface areas with mineralized toxic rock material, example, deposition of mining wastes. Impacts on air. degradation of air quality and visibility from airborne particulate resulting from blasting, excavation, earth moving, transportation, and material transfer operation. Conclusion. In the early 1950s, the cement industry began putting a new emphasis on geology. Portland cement can be made from relatively abundant industrial minerals in rocks, and this may explain why cement producers placed little emphasis on geology during the early days of the industry. After World War II, however, the industry began to recognize the need for geological exploration, and some of the larger companies began to build a permanent geological staff. This development has its roots in the rapid expansion of the industry after World War II and continuing into the early 1950s, the demand for cement far exceeded the production capacity. This placed a great deal of pressure on the producers to enlarge capacity at their plants and to develop new sites. The closing of many cement plants due to inadequate raw materials, producers feared lack of raw material due to inadequate exploration and evaluation. An ever-increasing pressure for upgrading of the quality of Portland cement necessitated upgrading the quality of raw materials. The increasingly large capital investment needed to build new cement plants required a higher degree of accuracy in reserve calculation. For example, cement production capacity grew so rapidly that today production is only about 70 to 75% of rated capacity, 73.8% in 1963. Therefore, whereas the geologist's function during the active expansion of capacity was primarily one of exploration, one of his major functions today is the development of existing reserves.